What sort of person is going to love this show? Well, I think anybody who loves crime stories, murder mysteries, whether it's in books or films or radio plays, anybody who likes the crime films and crime novels from the 1930s, 1940s, the film noirs of that era, who likes pulp and anything vintage is going to enjoy the show. What's my favorite line of the dialogue? There was one line that I that I really liked. Every time we did it, I had to laugh about it because so my character Jack, he's kind of polishing his gun, and he says, sometimes I think I love this gun more than I do you. So he tells his wife that he loves a weapon more than he loves the wife, which is kind of a ridiculous comparison. What has been my favorite part about working on the thought? Well, first of all, it was the first time that I did a radio play of that sort. So it was interesting to, explore this new field of theater, of performance. And what I also liked a lot was I was able to work with three wonderful people that I know from past projects. And although we're living in different countries, it was a fantastic chance to get back together and to do this project, which we wouldn't have been able to do, or which we would have never thought to do uh, if there wouldn't be, a pandemic out there. What I also enjoyed a lot was being able to play several different people and to use different voices for those different characters. Um, and that was also the most challenging part of working on the thought. Using different voices, finding different voices. There were a couple of scenes where two characters were talking to each other, and you would play both characters. So you would switch between the two voices and between the two characters. So that was, quite tricky. What has the creative process been like? Well, we got the script and we started reading the script, and we had several online rehearsals where we would read through different sections of that script, and we would talk about what's happening in the plot, what's the character's motivation, and we would try to imagine how would the sound effects be like, how would the music be like, and at a later point we also listened to bits of the music that was used now. We would try different voices for the different characters and see what works best. Yeah, and then we started to use the software we would use to record the whole thing. We would get microphones, we would see what are the best settings for recording. The unusual aspect of this creative process was that we had no director, right? We were kind of, the whole ensemble was directing the show. So we would talk in a group about, the different characters, about the different scenes, and we didn't have like one person who said, do it like this, do it like that. And that was interesting. And actually, most of the time it worked surprisingly well, the sort of self-discipline. And I didn't really miss the directing part. What is my favorite part about acting? Well, it's two things. First, it's, of course, being able to play characters that are completely opposite or different to your own life and to your own personality. Of course, there are always little pieces of your personality that form the character as well. One of my characters in this in the thought is this telepathist, right? Who's able to read other people's minds and who's doing these shows where he reads other people's minds. So that's just interesting to play these very different, partly bizarre people. The other thing that I really love about acting is that it's a group effort. It's a group activity, and like an orchestra, each person in that orchestra has to play his or her instrument, so that the whole thing works, so that the music works. Only if every actor is doing what he or she's supposed to do, and is doing a good job, the play comes to life. And it's just a very rewarding experience. And it binds the people together. You're becoming this little family for a while. And I also think that people who are interested in performing arts, they are a very special sort of people, wonderful people, creative people, of course, but also a little bit crazy, which is very amusing. And yeah, it's just wonderful. How long have I been acting? Since my childhood, actually. I was always playing my own little, action films in the garden when I was a little kid. And my brother, he was part of the theater troupe at school. And when I, started to go to that same school, I would join the same theater troupe, of course. My brother he's 5 years old, and he got a camera when he was a teenager, and we would start making little films. And, he would be behind the camera, I would be in front of the camera, and that's actually valid up until today. He's a cinematographer and producer, and I'm an actor. Do I do anything special before rehearsals performing? A very special warm up, where I focus on the voice and the enunciation, because it's English, as you may notice, is not my native language. So I really have to get my mouth and my lips in anything flexible, so I can work with that language. Besides that, I usually prefer to have my own space, to go away from all the other actors, and focus and go through all the lines again. Go through all the lines, which I hadn't to do here because we didn't memorize the lines. And I take care of what I'm eating before a show. I usually don't eat anything, or maybe just a very very small thing. But at the same time, you need to have the energy to go through with it, right? So usually I wait until intermission, until the first time when I'm be able to go backstage again and have a little break backstage, and then I will have a bite. But I can't do it before the show starts. I'm too nervous.